Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. So I wanted to make a video talking about Dune 3 and what we know so far about Dune 3, which is based on the book, or which will be based on the book, the second Dune book in the franchise, titled Dune Messiah. We don't know what the third Dune film will be called, but we know a little bit about it. So I'm going to be going over sort of what we know about it, release dates, plot, characters, cast. Let's go over everything, okay? So I've just come out of seeing Dune 2 yesterday. I loved it, and I'm very excited for Dune 3, and it's honestly, I cannot wait. I know it's going to take a while, but I cannot wait for Dune 3 should they make it. I'm pretty sure they'll make it. I'm pretty sure it's basically like 90% confirmed they're making Dune 3, but we will have to wait a little bit for it. So anyway, let's get into what we know so far about the film. So we do know that it is currently being written. Denis Villeneuve has said in interviews that it is currently being written. Also, Hans Zimmer, the composer for Dune 1 and Dune 2, has said that he is currently working on music for Dune Messiah. So it's basically, it's happening, right? And it's currently being written. They're going through drafts, and the film is being written. Denis Villeneuve has said it, and so right now they're in the writing stage. I would expect filming to begin sometime, I think next year probably, and then maybe the film will come out late 2026, early 2027 if we're lucky. And so that's if everything goes well. But the Dune franchise does actually have kind of reputation of being delayed. Like the first film was delayed because it came out during the pandemic and it ended up having a day and date release, and the second film was also delayed a couple months because of the strikes. Because if you remember, the film was supposed to come out in November, but it came out in March because of the actors strikes, and they couldn't have the actors be promoting the film, and that would obviously hurt its success. But anyway, so yes, we do know that Dune 3 is currently being written. We know that it will be adapting Dune Messiah, which is the second book that comes out, the sequel to the first Dune book, basically. Because if you don't already know, Dune 1 and 2, well, Dune Part 1 and Part 2 are one book, the Dune book, right? And so it's basically one long movie, but Dune Messiah is a sequel. And yeah, so the basic plot for Dune Messiah, if you don't know, I'm not going to spoil anything. I know a little bit about it, so I'm just going to basically read out a basic plot summary, right? I'm not going to go into detail about anything, but yeah, so for Dune Messiah, it takes place around about 12 years after Paul has become emperor, right? Because that's what happened at the end of Dune Part 2. Spoilers for Dune Part 2. Paul has become the emperor, and so he's struggling with the power and consequences of that. We don't know if the film will adapt that in a way which makes it 12 years after. I'd probably assume they wouldn't, because they wouldn't want to age up the actors that much, and they wouldn't want to, be using prosthetics and CGI for all the actors' faces. And so I would assume they would sort of shorten that a little bit, maybe. I don't know what the context of the 12 years is for the story. I don't know how important the time jump is for the story of Dune Messiah, but I would assume that they would definitely shorten that time jump from 12 years to maybe 5 years or something like that, 3 years, I don't know. But yes, so Paul is struggling with the consequences and the responsibility that comes with being the emperor. He also, at some point in Dune Messiah, is responsible for the death of 61 billion people. Now, I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know, if he's at fault, but I think, well, he is, because he's responsible. And so that is sort of also alluded to a little bit, I think, in Dune Part 2, where he's having those dreams of those people starving, and he's following the woman, which looks like either his sister or Rebecca Ferguson, his mother, in the desert sort of land. Looks like he's following her amongst all these people starving to death. So that could be sort of a reference to the 61 billion people that he is responsible for killing in Dune Messiah, or responsible for their deaths. So he didn't kill them, but he's responsible for their deaths in Dune Messiah. So we will see how that gets adapted. But yeah, also we know that Princess Irulan from Dune Part 2, played by Florence Pugh, will have a much larger role in Dune 3, because that's already been confirmed as well by Denis Villeneuve. He said that he sort of made Florence Pugh the same promise he made Zendaya, is that if you do this film, you will have a much larger role should we do another film. In the next film, you'll have a much larger role. And that is true. There is sort of like a little love triangle that goes on between Princess Irulan, Paul, and Chani in Dune 3. Zendaya will also be returning for Dune 3, should it happen, because Chani also has a major role in that film. So yeah, that's the basic plot, is that Paul is struggling to be emperor with the responsibilities and the consequences of what happened. Their great houses are against him, and he is at some point responsible for the deaths of 61 billion people. Now let's get to characters. The characters that we know would be in Dune 3, based on the characters that are in the book from based on characters that are in the Dune Messiah book, we know that obviously Paul would be in it. Timothy Chalamet. Zendaya as Chani would be returning. Florence Pugh, Princess Irulan would be returning. Presumably, Jessica, even though she does have a smaller role in Dune Messiah, but presumably Rebecca Ferguson as Jessica would be returning. We know that Duncan Idaho would be returning in some form. I'm not going to spoil which way that is, but we know that he would be returning should they adapt it. And also, Aaliyah, which is Paul's younger sister, who Jessica is pregnant with in Dune 2, would be returning, and obviously she would be aged up. I don't know how they're going to get around that with maybe like sort of changing her character, because they've already introduced her as, spoilers, Anya Taylor-Joy in Dune Part 2. So I don't know how they would get around that with the time jump. I mean, if they do 12 years, then she'll be 12, and obviously can't be played by Anya Taylor-Joy. But if they do 5 years, then she cannot be Anya Taylor-Joy either, because she'll be 5 years old. So I don't know how they're going to get around that situation should they adapt Dune 3, which again is pretty much confirmed. So we'll see how they end up doing that. But I really hope Anya Taylor-Joy returns at some point. We know that Aaliyah is a pretty major character in Dune Messiah, which is, again, Paul's younger sister. So yeah, those are pretty much all we know so far about Dune Part 3. I'm not going to get into specific plot about Dune Messiah, but you've got a basic plot summary there. We know the release date should be somewhere, according to my estimates, somewhere around late 2026, early 2027. We know the characters that will be returning, Paul, Chani, Irulan, Jessica, Duncan, Aaliyah, also the mother, Bene Gesserit, the Reverend Mother, Bene Gesserit. And so, yeah, we know it's being written. That's all we know about Dune Part 3 at the moment. I am super excited for this film, and everybody, I think, who's seen Part 2 is very much anticipating not Part 3, but Dune 3. Dune Messiah, the adaptation of Dune Messiah. I'm very excited for it. I think Denis Villeneuve did a fantastic job with the first 2 films, and I cannot wait for Dune Messiah, the Dune Messiah adaptation, aka Dune 3. So yeah, that's it for this video. That's all we know so far about Dune 3. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you think is going to happen in Dune 3? How do you think they're going to adapt it? Have you read Dune Messiah? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, if you have not already, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you're new, and also turn on post notifications so you don't miss when I upload. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.